Good evening, Little Rock. Good evening, Arkansas. Good evening to our fellow KABF DJs, supporters, folks on the board of directors are partying out there at 1401 South Main Street right now, celebrating KABF 88.3. This station has been broadcasting since the 70s, for those of you that don't know. It's been the voice of the people, if I'm not mistaken, since 1976. And we are still going strong. We are in our very last day of pledge drive here. And this is the Occupy Little Rock radio show.
Yeah!
I think that's what we've been calling it.
Yes.
Right.
And we have been rocking...
Occupy Little Rock Radio!
That's right. And we have been rocking in Little Rock since January of 2012.
Yes.
So we've been going strong. And if you support this show, listening is awesome. Spreading the word is awesome.
Sharing the news.
But what's even more awesome is helping us spread the word and share the news. You can support today by making a donation. We'll take any amount of money that you have to spare. Call in today, and we can take your information over the phone, make a donation, help keep us occupying the airwaves, where you're going to get news and ideas and information that you are not going to get anywhere else in Little Rock. That's probably for sure, right?
No, there's not another outlet that's going to
Not
be...
in Little Rock.
Not doing this kind of talk radio.
No.
No, definitely not. And as
maybe the on I think Tuesdays there's an Arkansas Community Organization show that does some of it.
Yeah.
Not nationwide though. They do local.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've got...
I'm not hearing your...
I don't understand why I'm not... Unless somebody turned off this mic.
Is it? Yeah, click it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
There he is.
Somebody shut off the mic. My mic, yeah.
So,
yes,
so
that's
Aiko
what we do,
is
we play pranks on the other DJs.
Yes, this is a fun-loving show.
So Aiko is great, and we love Aiko, but just like they're saying, you're not going to hear Aiko do the crazy stuff that we're going to do, like this offer we're about to make right now. We're in, like I said, our last day of pledge drive, and we have a special deal going on where if you donate $500 to Occupy Little Rock Radio, we will mail 5 dildos to the politicians of your choice. That's right.
That's right.
One for each politician. You donate $500 to keep Occupy Little Rock Radio running on air, and we will mail a dildo to the politician of your choice.
Marital aid.
Marital aid. Yeah, we'll call it a marital aid.
That's right. We will wrap it up in tin foil and mail it to their office with a stamp on it. The number to call in is 501-433-0088. That's 501-433-0088. If you're just tuning in, this is KBF 88.3 FM. You can listen to us streaming online through kabf.org. And our opening track there is Head Like a Hole from 9 Inch Nails. That goes all the way back to like 1989. I think
it's around 1989, 1990. It's an old track.
Yes, God money.
Yeah.
So,
What do you mean it's an old track? I'm older than that. What are you trying to say?
Well,
you're younger than
that.
that.
I think that would probably really be older. Yeah.
Hey, I resemble that remark. I'm older than that.
Woody Guthrie's before your time.
Not by far.
I think we're all vintage now.
Yes.
You know, we're vintage.
Awesome.
So, the format for this show, being the last pledge drive show, is Jukebox. And we've been doing this the last 2 weeks. You call in, make a donation, make a song request, and we'll play whatever song you'd like to hear. As granted...
And we'll sit here and watch the video to it while we're doing it, too.
Yes.
That's absolutely true. In between this, we are going to have local news, national news, international news, and the state of Occupy. So, I'm your host, Adam Lansky. I'm joined by Mel, our off-color commentator. We've got, hang on, I'm forgetting her name.
Seriously? You duct taped me to a chair last week and you forgot my name.
But she's old enough to have antique tags, okay?
Okay, it's Kaitlin Lott, and we've got Chris, not Klein. Why am I forgetting your last name?
You called him Klein last week.
Because usually, most people can't seem to get my last name right. It's
Chris Occupy.
It's Chris Occupy, but you can call me Fangs in the Beard or just Chris Nielsen.
Chris Nielsen. I don't know what my deal is with that. What's my deal?
I don't know either, considering we've known each other for like 2 years now.
You can remember, because man, there's a lot of Wi-Fi radio going on now. Messing up with our heads.
Well, it's okay until they put a chip in me.
Yeah. Then your remote control on it.
Not hardly.
Okay, well, how about we start off, should we kick off some news here? Chris, would you like to deliver the State of Occupy?
State of Occupy. This is good news from Chris Nielsen, the State of Occupy. The good news is, Occupy is sharing hidden truths and solutions and fixing problems. Occupy Madison is building tiny homes for the homeless. So yes, that's right. We have Occupy Madison that's still going, and they're doing their part by actually building tiny homes for the impoverished homeless.
When you say tiny, how tiny do you mean?
They're building under 10 square feet.
What?
Yeah,
what?
That's not tiny. What?
Tiny houses, tiny homes. They're
Tiny
awesome.
homes. Yeah,
There's a website.
Yeah, there's a website. Occupy Madison has a website where a number of different
Surely you
contracts-
mean 100? Like I don't think a person could stand in 10 square
That's
feet.
like,
Okay,
yeah, you
well,
can't. It's like
some-
3.5 by 3.5.
Why? You know any 10-foot people?
Well, that's
okay.
a good point. I don't know.
They've
Maybe.
got them actually in different sizes, depending
Okay.
on the need. They're actually building, some people will call them shanties, but actually they're tiny homes for those that
They're
need-
awesome.
They're awesome.
Cool.
They're actually they're outfitted with all sorts of furnishings.
Oh, I
They're
know what
less
you're
than
talking
100.
about. Yeah, there
I'm
was
looking at the
there was
website.
one
It's
I
100
saw
square feet.
in a different state. I can't remember. They posted it not long ago. I think I know what you're talking about. It's almost like a camper.
Tumbleweed
so
Tiny
there's
House
campers and
Company.
there's actually standalone homes.
Well, no, I mean they're
Yeah.
like roughly the interior kind of
Yeah.
looks like a camper. Like the bed
Like
is
a
like
coach-
the
like
bed
a-
is
like a-
above everything.
It's probably your smallest Airstream size. That's
Yeah.
somewhere around 130 square feet, maybe, or
Yeah.
less. But
Much
yes,
less. These are
They can get them. They
they
do a lot
fit
of
on
really
they
efficient
they
stuff.
fit on an 8x10 trailer,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then they have a loft bed.
Yeah.
The kitchen underneath. Everything is compact, but you have plenty of room to live in.
Yeah, they're taking their signal from a couple of Japanese architects, and as well as some U.S. architects that were actually being challenged to see what they could do with designing micro homes.
So yeah, $17 apparently is the daily fee, and they're 12 feet by 7 feet according to the Cap Times here, where they have an article about
Yeah,
it. That's incredible, and they're building it out of all recycled material.
Yes, they are recycling material.
Actually, there's a tiny house movement, and there's several websites out there.
Yeah.
One of which is Tumbleweed Tiny Houses. I've been looking at these for years because I've been, talking about building a cabin out in the wilderness. And I want a tiny little house with a huge porch, covered, uncovered. But because I enjoy being outside so much.
Yeah.
I need somewhere to go inside. Keep the computer dry and sleep. So
I actually have a few old friends from Northwest that actually do use those tiny houses, and they find it's very comfortable and it's workable.
Mhm.
Moving on, Occupy Tokyo is sharing a lot of the new Fukushima news. Luckily, Occupy Seattle and Occupy Tokyo have managed to set up a secure news sharing service so that if you need to know about what's going on in the Pacific and what the Pacific is happening to us, yes, you can go to Occupy Seattle or Occupy LA, and you will get Fukushima news as to how bad it's getting over there. Occupy Sandy is sharing its relief efforts, and if you want to get in on the action on how to set up your own relief effort, please go to Occupy Sandy.net. There's also InterOccupy.net that actually can give you links to Sandy's relief efforts and how to organize relief efforts in your local region. Getting on to Occupy Arkansas. Occupy Arkansas has managed to actually compete with a lot of the other news sharing sites. We're actually becoming much more comprehensive in our local, state, and now international and national news. We've been able to actually vet more news online than anyone in our region. Luckily, there have been some good shared articles with Occupy NOLA and Occupy Austin and Occupy DFW. Go to Occupy Arkansas, the page that informs you and shares the news, good news and bad, managed to set up a information sharing service to help and assist in all things collective and effort and protest. So please, if you want to go ahead and get yourself trained up and get involved here locally, and probably if you want to organize an Egyptian or Bahraini or even a Turkish support protest for these occupied, go ahead and look them up. They were willing to give you all the kind of information you need to actually stay informed about those local situations. Occupy Aziz was able to report that a few oil pipelines that were coming from Iraq into Turkey were sabotaged. And they were very, very upset about that because that was causing environmental harm. So luckily we have found out that there have been some naughtiness going on over there in Iraq, particularly in the Kurdistan region of Iraq.
Did you say some naughtiness?
Okay, alright, sorry. Let's just say behaving badly.
Well, it's all pretty naughty.
Yeah.
Very, very naughty.
Anyway, but they're doing great. They're actually being able to skill share a lot of their stuff with other occupies. Occupy Slovenia is doing a great job of getting democratic protests going, as well as training up to secure against what they call the Stasi state. Yes, you can check out Occupy Slovenia and find out their democratic revolution. They still have the record of their democratic revolution. We share a lot of their video. You can log on to them, find out. They're on Facebook. They're also on Twitter at Occupy Slovenia. And moving on to the best news now, we've got a new movement. It's called Citizens Against Tar Sands. And this has actually gone from Mexico all the way up to Canada. Idle No More, and as well as a lot of the tar sands blockade, managed to get enough exposure that now there are citizens in their own communities along the Keystone XL pipeline route. But not only that, they're actually giving us news about what's going on up in the tar sands region. And they're actually trying to stop a lot of what they call the Utah tar sands already. And so if you want to find out more about the Citizens Against Tar Sands, Michigan has a Citizens Against Tar Sands group, and you can form your own chapter if you like. Tar Sands Blockade, Tar Sands Updates, and a few other tar sand related action groups have been able to share information as to how to get your community involved. If you're along the Keystone Pipeline route, go ahead and get involved there.
Or any of the other. I mean, we've got several others, right?
There's also multiple other tar sand pipeline routes that they've decided on. If you have friends in Canada, or if you have friends near the Canadian border that are, where the pipelines will be crossing, please share the information. Let them know.
How many do we have right now running through the DS? Do you know that actually carry tar sands? I know we have at least one.
Well, yeah.
We know the Pegasus.
Yeah, we know the Pegasus, but there's actually Keystone. We know will be carrying it.
Will be, yeah.
And then we actually have at least 3 others that have been suspected of actually carrying tar sands.
Okay.
One in the northwest, and the other 2 are in the northeast. Now, these pipelines that they're talking about are actually they ship the oil by train, and then they take it to a distribution center, pipeline distribution center, and then they pump it to the ports. The problem is with that you've got a whole supply chain that leaks like a sieve, just like the Pegasus does. So yeah, we've got problems even with the fracking pipelines. But the good news is the Citizens Against Tar Sands is really catching on, because now that the disaster in Alberta,
there was another one recently
of tar sands has really got a lot of people involved now.
There was another one recently too. I believe it was in Indonesia. There was a spill.
Oh yes, there was. Indonesia. They had a spill. They're apparently processing some tar sands there.
Yeah, it was I remember reading it was a less corrosive tar sands than what we were running here, and I noticed all of the cleanup people were in full hazmat gear, while here in Mayflower, when there was a spill, they were telling people it was perfectly safe, and they were wearing simple doctor's masks, and that was it.
Please reminding Mayflower that yes, you need to organize and get yourselves out of there. They need to do a thorough cleanup. If you're remaining there to expose yourself to hazardous chemicals, you do not understand. You cannot afford the medical bills that this is going to cost you. Look up Love Canal online and find out how bad it got there. You will understand how bad it will get for you guys. If you can, evacuate as soon as you can.
And there are, if you were a member of the cleanup team, there are doctors who actually specialize in this. I know there are several in Georgia. There are a few that came up here at the time as well. If you suspect that you're having symptoms because of working with the cleanup when they told you it was safe, I suggest looking online to try and find one of these doctors.
Okay. Last is the events. We have an upcoming national gathering event up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. If you haven't signed up, go to interoccupy.net and sign up there, or through the occupynatdat.org sign up page. There are share rides. They are getting people to manage. If you can't afford to go, sign up for a share ride. We're carpooling all over the place. We've got all 50 states coming in, plus 10 more outside the country. So yes, if you can make it to Kalamazoo, Michigan, it's the 21st through the 25th. It's a great event. It's going to be skill sharing. It's going to be organizing, and it will also help bolster Occupy support. That's right. This will help ferret out stuff that we don't want and keep stuff that we do want. There's another arranged. New York City is going to be having their September 17th Occupy reunion. They're going to be occupying Zuccotti Park as well as Liberty Thompson Square. If you want to be signing up for that, go ahead and go to Occupy Wall Street and check out their event. They also have share rides if you want to get in touch with the people there. Then we have October 15th event. There's going to be an October 15th event in support for the Global Occupy Movement March. If you want to go ahead and sign up for that and get the news on that, there is an event for that. If you have already signed up for it, please share it. Please share the event. And lastly, November 5th, the Million Mask March on DC. Actually, this is not just DC. This is all capitals of nations, as well as all financial capitals. We're actually asking, Anonymous is asking its followers, or actually the collective itself, please stand up, be noticed. Remember the 5th, November 5th.
Yeah, I'd really like to get out there to Washington, D.C. That would be super cool.
I think they actually are going to be trying to do a show right there, but I can't confirm that.
Well, are we going to be doing this here in Little Rock, too?
I believe that there's a love-in that will be coinciding with one of the days.
We got time to organize one.
Yeah, we got time. So if you want to go ahead and start one up, go ahead.
And if anyone has interest in, honestly, we could do it if we wanted to. If anyone has interest.
I think we absolutely should. I think we should have a mass march in solidarity.
So if anyone wants to join us, you know how to find us online.
Yeah.
And just contact us and work with us.
If you want to go ahead and use affinity marches, that's fine. We actually will gladly welcome anyone, regardless of shade or persuasion.
Alright, on that note, thank you so much, Chris, Nielsen, for that Occupy news. Let's take a little music break here, and then when we come back, should we talk about some local stuff?
Sure.
Alright, if you want to make a donation and make a request, the number to call in is 501-433-0088. We've been listening to Beethoven right there while we were listening to the State of Occupy. Right here is some Boz Skaggs for you. And this one's going out to Kazi, Melissa, Lisa, and Rich, if you're out there listening. Had a great discussion with you on Saturday. Here's some Boz Skaggs for you for the next few minutes. We'll be back with some local news. This is Occupy Little Rock Radio, the voice of the people, not the sheeple. We are back. If you're just tuning in, this is KBF 88.3 FM, the voice of the people, not the sheeple. This is Occupy Little Rock Radio. And we are going to get to talking about some local/regional news now with full-time occupier Kaitlin.
Hello.
Give us the word.
I've only got 3 things this week, actually. I'm going to start with a technology park update. The Little Rock Technology Park Board is not exactly accepting new submissions, but they're being given new submissions for sites. Number 1, the Asher and University site was taken off of the table because apparently the businesses don't want to sell. which I find amusing because they really don't care when they're going into a residential neighborhood whether or not they want to sell. But the Chancellor of UALR is putting forth a proposal for one that would take, I believe, 64 residential parcels total. UALR owns a good percentage of those, but the ones they don't own are 20 homes that are rentals and 17 owner-occupied homes. Haven't confirmed much, but it looks like the Chancellor is promising these people, as he's talking to them, a federal eminent domain regulations, which are much different than state.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's his to promise, because I don't think that the tech park will follow through on that, but we'll see. We have been out in the neighborhoods trying to assure people that if they live in that area and they do not want to sell, that they do have options.
And they get representation.
Yes, that we have representation for them. And so we're at the very beginning stages of that. And then another site that has come forward is the Sears site on University, right by the doctor's hospital. Sears is wanting to sell, and they brought a proposal, and so they'll be considering that. But also the city wanted to give 2, but they told them that they could not give those sites as proposals without the consent, basically, of the businesses. That they couldn't even offer them up as proposals without interest in selling.
Okay, let me get this straight. You can take people's homes away, whether they like it or not. But if business is there,
Right.
that's a different story. Okay, I wasn't sure I was understanding that.
That's almost exactly what they said. Yes.
I don't recall any change to the federal or even state guidelines as far as whether or not consent from a business.
No, they're not required to have consent from a business any more than they're required to have consent from the homeowners to use the eminent domain. This is something they're choosing to do.
Aha.
Now, if you want more information on that, you can go to weshallnotbemovedcoalition.org. We've got a page up there, and I'm going to be updating it very soon. We've got things coming up over the next month on the calendar of things you can go to get involved. On from that, more on the tar sands and the Pegasus pipeline. The Exxon officials have said that they are, at this point, considering retiring the Pegasus pipeline. Now,
What did you just say to me?
they're
To us?
they're
To the world?
they're considering actually retiring this pipeline that has been a problem for the last 65 years. It's been leaking for 65 years.
That shouldn't have had tar sands in it in the
No,
first place.
it was never rated for tar sands. It was
And
rated
they
for
had
crude
trouble
oil,
with
for refined crude oil.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it had leaks long before they upped the amount that was going through and changed it to the more corrosive tar sands. It has been shut down again, and they said that they will not make a decision on whether it will be retired or not until the investigation is complete, which they expect to take a year. But for the next year, Pegasus Pipeline will not be running.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Now all they have to do is just figure out a way of trying to get it registered to the Superfund, because actually the Superfund, which is the EPA's cleanup fund, it should actually qualify because number one, it was transporting a hazardous material or hazardous materials.
Yeah.
And to not do that seems not only cruel.
Yeah.
It means that yes, right.
And if you don't know
oil companies don't care about human beings.
Right. If you don't know what he's talking about, every oil company has, when they're transporting oil, they have to pay into a cleanup fund, a national cleanup fund. And because tar sands is not yet considered oil, even though it's more dangerous and goes through the same pipelines and is refined down into oil, they do not have to pay into the cleanup fund.
This is true.
So, in short, the taxpayers end up
Footing the bill.
Footing the bill.
And taxpayers footing the health problems.
Exactly.
What would have happened in Mayflower if they spilled that much milk instead of tar sands?
It might have changed the acidity of the soil. That it would have made it a little more alkaline. That's about it. Some cats would have been
There
really happy.
there would have been a massive riot of kitty cats.
Yeah, exactly.
It would have been chaos. We'd have had to call out the National Guard to take these putty tats down.
Neil Young would have written a new song.
Oh man, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And my last piece of news is Clarksville again. Clarksville School District. They keep going back and forth. Originally they said we're going to arm our teachers. We've already spent several $1,000. I believe it was
50,000.
50, and they gave us a $1,000 stipend to each of the people who volunteered to buy the firearms. So it was a total. It was a total of about 70,000, I think, after that, all that. And they had already done that, and then...
hey, wait a minute. I want to know where I go work for a school and I can take $1,000 to the gun shop.
And anyway, and so then Attorney General McDaniel came in and said, no, you can't do that. That doesn't count in this law. You can't do that. And then Clarksville School District said, okay, fine, we won't do it. And then they came back after about a week, and so we had our lawyers look at it. We think McDaniels is wrong, and we don't think that we will be told that we can't do this, and so they decided to go on with the program. And now I believe their insurance carrier basically said, no, you're not going to do that. Oh, it's the
state board.
You're not, yeah.
The state board of licensing said,
yeah.
You know what? We don't like what you're doing. You're not a private security company, so we're taking your license away.
Yeah, so the state board revoked their license, and their insurance company was not pleased at all. They weren't about to cover that.
Okay, so basically we had a couple of Clarksville...
What we have is a wasted $70,000 and a bunch of scared parents down in Clarksville. That's what we have.
I was going to say that, somebody thought, hey, we can spend $70,000 to show something for it, and then they found out, well, the mallet in their forehead was meant to say no.
Yeah.
But do you put a holster on the apple, or is it, somehow concealed in a lunchbox, or?
Yeah, where do you put a whole? Yeah.
My favorite comment on this so far, as I've seen throughout all these stories, was some guy saying, we really, in a small town like Clarksville with the history of the South, we shouldn't be arming the teachers, we should be arming the students against the teachers. Yeah. Because we have had so many reports lately of teachers abusing their students, beating their students in some cases. Most of it's obviously sexual in nature.
Okay.
But so
yeah, the high schools tend to be a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I can confirm this. They're trying to follow along with Paragould because yes, Paragold's still doing the martial law thing, just like up in Pennsylvania.
I heard that. I haven't checked in on it in a while.
Yeah, so y'all, if you want to call in and say something about Paragould or Pennsylvania, or just go ahead and share what you like.
When did you get more country, Chris? When you're talking local news, you get more country.
All this gun talk gets me my accent just comes out. Of course, then I can get someone's Now there's a Fibber McGee somewhere. There's a Fibber McGee. And
we have released the crap.
I'm sorry, but Fibber McGee, I was exposed to him too long.
Okay,
you were exposed to something too long.
And McCoys too.
I've never heard this. I've known Chris for a couple of years now. I haven't heard this yet.
There's in some voices I get sometimes.
Good Lord.
I do remember when you fell in the saw.
I do. You still have a noticeable scar.
That very noticeable, very manly scar.
If I hurt your feelings, if I show up, does that mean I made you think? Yes.
What?
Alright, let's take a musical break, and then we're going to come back with some national
If you don't
news.
play dueling banjos at this point, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yo, if you're just joining us, this is Occupy Little Rock Radio on KBF 88.3 FM, the voice of the people. Support local radio. This is the last day of our pledge drive here at KBF 88.3, and we are trying to raise as much money as we can to help keep the station live, to help keep the voice of the people going. We have 100,000 watts broadcasting power through the station. That's more than what's the station that's with the local college? Who's slipping.
Oh, KUAR.
Yes, we are bigger than KUAR. We are badder than KUAR. And I guarantee you, we are probably more fun than KUAR, even though they do have some really cool music and some cool educational stuff to talk about. You know what? They don't say crazy stuff on the radio.
Well, their announcers all talk in a very even, measured manner. And it is so thrilling to listen to the morning show on KBF, on KUAR. And then over here, we're trying to get y'all to make some donations because we want to send marital aids to politicians.
Yes, that's right. And for our big last day, we have a donation deal that you are not going to get on any other radio station in the world. And you can take me to the bank on that, whatever that means. You give us $500 in donations to keep this station alive, and we will send a sex toy of the
phallic
nature to 5 politicians of your liking, so they can stick it to themselves
lubricant
for change. Yes, and included with that, to sweeten the pot here a little bit, we're going to include a bottle of sriracha sauce along with that phallic.
Yes, that's the familiar red cock sauce that you see in the Asian restaurants. Many of you may have tried it. It is nothing but chili pepper.
Yeah. That's right. And the number to call in if you'd like to make such donation is 501-433-0088. That's 433-0088.
Any amount of donation is good, but the $500 will buy you the fun.
Lots of LARPs.
Lots of LARPs. Yes. So, I'm Adam Lansky. I'm here to talk about some national news right now. And I want to start this off with some cool national news. I mean, maybe it's cool, maybe it's not so cool. But, yeah, there's no such thing as Democrats and Republicans anymore. It's really just one group. I gotta break that to you. You know, that's not what I was gonna say. But I forgot I'm supposed to say that. And I'm speaking specifically to folks that are 40 and up, because I run into this mostly with older folks. I'm not that much younger than you, and I'm sorry if I just offended you by calling you old or something, but there is no such thing as Democrats and Republicans anymore. It is the same group of people. One of them is a straw man, and the other one knocks him down, and that's how we get a war criminal like Obama in power, basically. I've had a conversation with people recently who said, Obama is so much better than George Bush. And it's like...
Really?
And it's like, quit drinking the Kool-Aid. Quit drinking the Kool-Aid, because it is the same people. Obama has done nothing but expand the surveillance program. Obama has done nothing but turn 180 degrees around on every single thing that he has said. Okay, one of his campaign promises was to close Guantanamo, and now we're hearing that there's hunger strikes, and they're being violently force-fed out in Guantanamo Bay, and these are crimes against humanity. So look up a video, Obama 2007 versus Obama 2013, and you know what you're going to see? Him arguing with himself, because he has lied about every single thing. There's no such thing as Democrats and Republicans anymore, and if you still buy that sandwich, okay, if you're still drinking that Kool-Aid, then, believe it or not, you're part of the problem. I'm sorry, it's true. You can't continue to follow this system that does not work.
If I could interject here.
Yes.
Now, we want you to know clearly that there is a difference between what is known as Obama derangement syndrome and actually being angry with the man for things he has done. I don't care about his birth certificate.
Right.
I don't care what religion he may or may not be. I care about the things that he is doing that are unconstitutional and wrong. And people need to focus and quit. Don't make stuff. Pay attention to what's really going on, please.
Actions speak louder than words. Yeah, Obama's basically the carrot for the business party, and the stick is the rest of it. And we're getting beat by the stick, and we ain't getting no carrot.
Well, almost the entire White House staff is directly out of Goldman Sachs, and there's a reason for that. He's one of them. That's who he runs with. That's who he listens to for advice, and that's why money still is just overweeningly powerful in politics.
And you can't drink it or eat it.
Everything else is just window dressing and distraction. Okay, he's good on gay rights. I don't care.
Wow.
I don't care. That's. I mean,
that's-
gay rights are important to anybody that's concerned with human rights, but that's not going. We would get much further with gay rights, with all kinds of personal rights, with all kinds of civil rights, if we weren't being drowned with bought politicians.
Yeah.
So, here's the good news I was talking about, which
Okay.
really isn't that great, but it's still at least entertaining. Vigilante teen dresses up as ninja to prowl neighborhood, gets arrested. And this is in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
That's what
now.
this looks like, yes. So, everybody agrees that a 19-year-old Pennsylvania man dressed up as a ninja and lurked near homes, but they disagree whether it's a good idea or legal. Todd Kopskos of Johnstown was in court Wednesday to waive his right to a preliminary hearing on charges of loitering, prowling at night, and disorderly conduct. Police said Kopskos frightened some elderly residents who saw him sneaking around while carrying a black baseball bat and wearing a hooded sweatshirt, another long shirt, a mask, and a pair of gloves, all of them black. He contends he was just trying to help police catch bad guys. Quote, I dressed up in all black, snuck around, went through bushes. End quote. He claimed to be practicing ninja moves, including rolling into a ball so that he'd appear to be a rock hidden in the shadows. There's not enough police officers, he said. The community should do something rather than sit back. So this is just this week.
Well, at least he didn't shoot anybody.
No, he hasn't. No.
He hasn't even hurt anybody yet.
No.
Might have scared a few folks, but
So,
Well, I'm not sure I
wanted-
wouldn't look out the window and see somebody with a baseball bat and go,
Well,
I mean-
it might freak me out, and I honestly might call someone if I thought that they were a danger, but I would have stood up for the guy if he was being arrested and he was actually doing something good. I mean, seriously.
it's an interesting story. So yeah, here's what happened, Kaitlin. You're not too far from the truth. So one neighbor, Chris Trevino, told the station it looked more like he was trying to break into homes, not like he was going to be a ninja and save the world. That night on July 15th, Trevino saw Kopskos running like a ninja, not like a normal person jogging. He was going back and forth creeping.
How does a ninja run? I'm a nerd, but I'm not up on all
The
this
ninja ran
stuff.
across the alley and right into the arms of a police officer. So, several high-profile crimes have occurred in the neighborhood in recent months, including 3 of the city's 5 homicides. The last one occurred August 6th, about 3 weeks after this guy was arrested. So, there's some interesting national news for you up in Pennsylvania. We've got someone who is so fed up with the lack of accountability that he's dressing like a ninja to go kick some butt.
Well,
That's funny. That's the same state that one of the sheriffs went completely insane, took over the, oh, help me.
Took over the
Where is it?
township.
No, he took over the town with the militia in town.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I need to find out more about that. Maybe we should do a story on it because
Yeah.
it's so interesting.
It is.
You know?
I mean, I think it ranks up there with Paragould.
Also, there's the fella up in Seattle. I forget what he calls himself, but he dresses up as a superhero and patrols the street.
right.
And they've been dragging him into court over and over again.
He's been on the news a few times.
Yeah,
he's a
and-
pretty interesting
And
guy.
And from what I can tell, he's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, and he's
And
refused to stop.
And he's not. I don't believe he carries a weapon.
No, he doesn't.
But which is, this is the thing. If you're going to claim to be Neighborhood Watch, the first thing that they tell you when you join the Neighborhood Watch is do not carry a weapon.
Yeah.
Because I was a security guard down in Texas. I was an armed security guard, and you had to go to a class in order to be so. And what they told us is, even though you have a weapon on you, your job as a security guard is to observe and report. Don't become part of the action. Do not become part of the story. And
George.
well, this is how you have problems with people ended up dead that don't need to be.
Alright, so I got just a couple more quick news items here because we got to get moving on to international. We've got 10 minutes and 8 seconds left in the show here. Here's something out of New Jersey for you. Are you shopping? Big Brother will be watching. Mall becomes the first in New Jersey to install license plate readers. The next time you go shopping at the Freehold Raceway Mall, keep in mind Big Brother will be watching. License plate readers, which record the license plates of every car that enter and leave the mall, have been installed over the entrances and exits to the Freehold Mall as a counter-terrorism measure. They were the first to be installed at a major shopping mall in the state. Officials with the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office said that mall was selected because of its potential as a terrorist target.
Oh, stop.
Well, it's a place of assembly, you know.
They
People go
need
the
to
mall.
stop.
Quote, the Freehold Raceway Mall is one of the largest shopping malls in New Jersey, said Cynthia Scott, spokeswoman for Sheriff Sean Golden, in an email. So, located next to the electronic telecom switching system is where the mall is located next to the telecom switching system. It's vital that this type of critical infrastructure is protected by the latest technology in the fight against terrorism. So,
I need everybody.
Are going to be parking in the mall before they go blow up the telecom building. Really, that's what they're going to do.
I need everybody listening out there to email me all of your credit information and your social security number, because if you don't do this instantly, the terrorists have won.
Yes.
It must happen today.
Yeah, so take a good hard think. Don't hurt yourself. But you might want to consider the definition of terrorism, and you might want to consider how many people have been killed by terrorists in the last 10 years, and how many people have been killed by falling furniture in the last 10 years.
Or by actually those that protect us too.
Yeah. And look up some police brutality videos, and we're gonna see who the terrorists are. So, anyways, that's going on in New Jersey, and we'll see how long it is before it comes to us. If you've seen those police cars driving on the highway that have the little black box coming off the fender, you know, it's like a little rectangular box, like the size of a couple of VHS
they have these in Little Rock.
You know what these are doing? These are cataloging your license plate and where you are. Yeah. That's what these things are. They're mobile scanners on police cars.
And all that information you can file an FOIA request and get all that information if you have someone's license plate number, whether or not it is your license plate.
So
Stalker's best friend, right there.
I've got one thing that you need to look up, because we don't have time to talk about it, sadly, the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement.
This is an occupied issue.
Called TPP. This is a huge issue, yes, and TPP does not have anything to do with toilet paper. It's the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, and there's an excellent article. Go to EFF.org. Yes. That's the Electronic Frontier Foundation website, EFF.org, and they have an article under their issues section called What's Wrong with TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. So please look that up. We don't have time to talk about it, but I do have one last thing I have to share with you before a quick musical break and then some international news with Mel. Is there's a congressional research paper that was written, released back on April 3rd of just this year by Richard Thompson, the current legislative attorney, called Drones in Domestic Surveillance Operations, Fourth Amendment Implications and Legislative Responses. And basically this paper goes on to talk about drones, unmanned aerial vehicles, what they are, what they do, how they work, and then it goes on to say that I want to find this exactly because I don't want to misquote it here. Let me find this real quick. So, there will be, here's on page, I don't have page numbers in this document.
Scrolls.
There's no page numbers in this document. Alright, anyways, it says, although relatively few drones are currently flown over U.S. soil, the Federal Aviation Administration, also known as the FAA, predicts that 30,000 drones will fill the nation's skies in less than 20 years.
I'm getting a slingshot.
Congress has played a large role in this expansion. In February 2012, Congress enacted the FAA Modernization and Reform Act, which calls for the FAA to accelerate integration of drones into the national airspace system by 2015. However, some members of Congress and the public fear that there are insufficient safeguards in place to ensure that drones are not used to spy on American citizens. Let me tell you something. They're going to be used to spy on American citizens. What the F do you think they're going to be doing up there? if they're not going to spy on American citizens?
Well, they already are. I mean, everybody's so all happy about their OnStar system in their vehicle. Get this one. I'm in a vehicle last weekend with some friends, and we're discussing, well, maybe we'll just, one weekend here coming up, we'll rent a motel room in Little Rock, because it's so hot, just to use the swimming pool. And yesterday on my news feed, all of a sudden it pops up: the DoubleTree Inn is offering, weekend special $50 a night, but you've got to buy it in the next 20 minutes. And I'm going, really? Really?
Wow.
I mean, yes, it could be just, coincidental. Of course I believe that.
Along the lines of the drones, about 10 years ago, I was an archery teacher at a camp. I'll teach you.
I'm thinking
Right,
paintball guns, people. Paintball guns.
There is a town in northern Colorado that is issuing hunting permits for
Right.
drones.
And they rock.
But I want to play one audio clip for you from here. And this is from President Obama himself. This is the big... I can't call him the cheese. He's the big something. and look, I don't hate on every president, okay? But when you lie and cheat and steal, I don't like you anymore. But here's Obama, and if we're not going to use the drones for spying on citizens, maybe this will allude to it. Here's our off-color commentator with some quick news before we split.
I was just wanting to give a quick update on the situation in Egypt. I checked, and they're reporting over 600 dead now that in the crackdown on protest. And while I'm no fan of the Muslim Brotherhood, I do not approve of the military coming in and shooting people that are protesting. This is insane, and it's doing nothing but escalating. And Ian Masters from Background Briefing was talking to an activist from the protest back in the Arab Spring, and he was describing what's going on in Egypt right now, and he said that one of the problems is yes, right now they're cracking down on Muslim Brotherhood, but they're already starting some crackdowns on some of the leaders of the democracy movement as well, because when the military comes in and takes over, it's not good news for anyone.
Right on. So true. So, anyways, this is Occupy Little Rock Radio on KBF 88.3. It seems we've run out of time. We've got about 20 seconds left here to give our outro. So again, tune in next week at 6 p.m. You can hear us on 88.3 FM or at kbf.org. I'm Adam Lansky. We've got Mel, off-color commentator, Kaitlin Lott, and Chris Nielsen of
Very
Occupy.
good.
Yeah, thank you.
Stay strong,
brothers and
peeps.
sisters.